Hey everybody, Joe from NDB Aviation, and today I want to talk to you about the best budget pick joystick that I've seen over the years, and I personally own. I've owned some Thrustmaster budget joysticks and some other budget joysticks from manufacturers that's hard to find their stuff anymore because they just weren't all that reliable. But in this video, I'm going to break it down to, I have my notes up on my screen above the camera here, but I have it down between 3 budget picks and one honorable mention for you to consider, especially if you want a HOTAS that's affordable and cheap. However, I have owned that in the past, and I have something to say about that a little bit later. And the main points of discussion are going to be price, availability, design / upgradability, and things you can do to make it a little bit better, and then durability. And that's going to be the primary points that we're going to talk about here. So my pick for the best budget as of right now, this is January, February, March of 2021. All these months are running together. It's like Groundhog Day. Is going to be the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. Now, I'm going to throw a B-roll in at this point. Some of the things I really like about the Logitech, well, the base of the Logitech is sturdy. It doesn't fall over when you're flying with it. Even when my 5-year-old is flying the flight simulator, it's not going in weird directions. It's not toppling over on the desk. And everything's easily reached even for her small hands on the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. It has one throttle on it. It has 6 buttons on the base, and then it has other buttons on the joystick itself, which will be used for a multitude of things. But it's still a really great choice that has lasted me many years. I've traveled with it as well, but some of the things that I want to talk about in depth real quick about the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. First, like I said already, the base is sturdy and it gives you a little bit more balance, and you can expect it to stay in place over time while you're flight simming. Whereas the Thrustmaster joysticks, they don't have this addition here. Like, just take these away and then you have a rounded base. That's something that I didn't like years ago when I did have one of the Thrustmaster joysticks. I had even the honorable mention, the T-Flight HOTAS X for some period of time. And once I separated the throttle from the joystick, it took a lot to keep those from falling over, which was extremely annoying. So at this price point, the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, if you can get it on sale, I know Logitech store is like $35, but it's sold out. But if you can get like Best Buy or Micro Center or other places to match that price, you can't beat the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro for what it does. The other great things about it, if you are really trying to add some basic realism, yeah, you got your throttle here. You can assign that to all throttles at once. I like doing the throttle, then I like doing flaps here. I like doing the pitch trim in the middle, and then any other tertiary buttons you want to tie in here, lights or something else. I like to keep the brakes on the trigger for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 and X-Plane 11 if this is all I'm using. Gear toggle here, and then on the top, I leave the point of view hat the way it is, looking left or right, up, down. I use the right and left side here. The right side for the zoom in, zoom out feature, and then the left side I use for chase view and internal 3D cockpit. It works out really well for me, and it allows me to do the majority of functions that I feel I need to do in a GA aircraft. And if I'm flying something else, overall do pretty much everything else I really want to do. And then everything else I do with the mouse. So why is this preferable aside from the base, the price, and the basic functionality and customizability? Well, price-wise, I've said it. It's $35 to $40. The Thrustmaster joysticks are $60 and up. And even the honorable mention of the T-Flight HOTAS X, that's $65, which is right on the same price point as the TCA Sidestick Airbus edition from Thrustmaster. So if you're going by price alone, the Logitech wins out. Availability, it seems to be kind of hit and miss. It's hard to find any of the Thrustmaster products. Even when I've been at Best Buy, I looked at bestbuy.com, Newegg, B&H. When I've been in store at Micro Center when I was rebuilding the desktop, I went in there a couple times. I saw a couple of Thrustmaster products, but then I've seen a little bit more of these Logitech Extreme 3D Pros out there. So this one I'm going to say is a toss-up for right now. You can find them, but I think with the current markup on products, you're probably going to find that the Extreme 3D Pro is going to be still your best bet price-wise. Availability price still kind of leans towards the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, especially with markups. Design-wise, I think the Extreme 3D Pro nails everything you want at this price point. It's sturdy, it's durable, it doesn't fall over, and when I was getting myself into Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, months ago, almost a year ago now, I was putting this in my bag with me when I was flying, and when I was at the overnight, I'd set up the laptop and I'd pull this out. That way I could kind of get more acquainted with Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 and compare it with X-Plane 11 on those long overnights, because it packs well, it's easy to work with, and even in my overnight bag with clothes packed around it, shoes packed around it, shaving kit, everything else I need, it put up with all that. It doesn't have any weird null zone issues now. It doesn't have any weird roll issues. Everything works still the way it's supposed to, which is saying a lot because I pack my overnight bag pretty tight with all my extra stuff that I might need. So durability is pretty good. Design is pretty good. Design, though, there's a little bit of a point here where it kind of spreads off. And if you're building a cockpit at home and you want it to stay the same manufacturer, but you want new products, Logitech doesn't have a whole lot of new products that are specific to an aircraft type. Thrustmaster does. So if you're trying to build an Airbus cockpit or something that looks like it, you might want to stay with the Thrustmaster TCA Sidestick Airbus edition. However, if you don't want to spend the $10 just for the licensing fee of slapping Airbus on there, go with the T16000 M FCS Thrustmaster joystick, and even just get that HOTAS. I think it's like $10 cheaper overall versus the Airbus edition, if you can even find either of them. And overall, I think those are decent products. I would just be looking at a way to clamp them down, because design-wise, I feel like they're not as steady. However, the Thrustmaster throttles are definitely a bit more sturdy looking than I thought they were. I've seen them in person once now. I didn't get a chance to use them. So hopefully I can actually get a pair going forward at some point. I meant to go back to Micro Center and buy some, but they were gone before I could actually make it back. So design, I think if you're going for a certain aesthetic, Thrustmaster might be the way to go. You're going to spend 20 or 30 bucks more just on the joystick, and then you're definitely going to spend a lot more once you start building the HOTAS setup or buy the HOTAS setup. And that's kind of going out of the realm of this video and the purpose of this video. But if that's what you're looking towards doing later on, you can still buy the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro and then build up everything else around it. So if you didn't want, say, the throttles from Thrustmaster, and say you just want the Bravo throttle quadrant, or say you want the cheaper Logitech throttle quadrants, you can still pair everything the way you want. It's going to work just fine. So that being said, future build, it's a great price, it's a great product. I've had this for going on 4 or 5 years now and never had a problem with it. Upgradability and ambidextrousness is something that we do need to talk about real quick, because the Thrustmaster products, aside from the honorable mention of the T-Flight HOTAS X, I don't think that's ambidextrous, but the TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition and the T16000 M FCS, sorry, I keep looking at my screen because I don't want to say their names wrong. Both of those you can change to be left or right-handed, which is really important if you're building an Airbus cockpit or a side stick cockpit for, say, a Cirrus, a Corvallis, pretty much anything down the line. Plus, it feels a little bit better being able to make it neutral or as close to neutral as possible if you fly like a Diamond aircraft or a Piper Cub. You know, the Logitech fits every need you want, but yeah, it's stuck being a right-hander joystick. I fly it left-handed without a problem. It's not a big deal for me, but it's going to feel weird in some people's hands. So overall, I'd say design, when you consider upgradability and making it left or right-handed, I think the Thrustmaster products, aside from the honorable mention of the T-Flight HOTAS X, are pretty much tied overall with the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro when you think about overall design features and cues that you can use them for. And that's why I think still, after price, availability, design, and thinking of especially durability, when I talk about packing it, and then if you're upgrading it to some other cockpit, I still think the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro is your best bet moving forward. You're going to be happy with it because it's 30, 40 bucks that you're going to spend well, and you're going to have a reliable product moving forward. This thing has outlasted some of my older Thrustmaster products, and I'm not going to say which ones they were, but they have been upgraded to new names now. So I've had quite a bit. I've liked them, but I've never had this Logitech Extreme 3D Pro go bad. The only Logitech product that had go bad on me years ago was the one that gave force feedback. That's the one that I had trouble with. But aside from that, that was the only Logitech one, and that was before the Sidetech merger, or before Logitech bought Sidetech out. So best overall budget joystick is going to be the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, followed by a tie, I'd say, between the Thrustmaster T 16000 M FCS, the Thrustmaster TCA Sidestick Airbus edition. Those, I'd say, are tied because it's going to come down to whether or not you want to pay the couple bucks for the aesthetics and the Airbus stamp. And then the honorable mention for the Thrustmaster T Flight HOTAS X. All of these that I've described in this video are below $100 MSRP. I know there are a lot of other options out there, and when you start throwing in the other two Thrustmaster joysticks into their HOTAS setup, it's above $100. But if you're just going for a joystick, a one-piece all-around solution for your flight sim needs, these are the ones I'd suggest. You know, the one that I think is on top of the hill for the reasons I've said, and you know who the ones that are falling up behind. If you have questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you like and subscribe to the video. If you don't like, tell me what you didn't like. However, give you guys a heads up if you've watched this to this point. I know I've focused on flight simulation for these videos recently. That will be changing soon. I'm going to actually start talking about actual aviation products that I've used in the past, and some basic flight training videos as well coming in, and some other things. So keep an eye on the channel. If you're primarily here for flight simulation, I'm sorry if I go maybe a month or two without some actual flight sim stuff as I do these other videos, but I promise I will be back because I enjoy flight simulation, so there will be more flight sim videos coming too. So thank you guys for your time. Joe from NDB Aviation. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you again real soon. Bye-bye.